Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here. In this video I want to talk about the resignation of Leo Varadkar. Now, I was going to do a video on this a couple of days ago, but I wanted to kind of just take a couple of days just to gather my thoughts and just gather a bit more information. It's an interesting one to say the least, and I know a lot of people have their suspicions around what's going on, and I'm going to talk about some of them. I wouldn't be that surprised if some of those suspicions are true. Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost. Leo Varadkar has resigned from his position as Taoiseach of Dáil Éireann, as well as his position as leader of the Fine Gael party. Now, there's been a lot of supposed reasons why he left. Kind of the harassment online of TDs has been given one. There's been one explanation that's been given. There's been the horrific failures of the two referendums, which I've talked about quite a bit. There's been the general failure of the Fine Gael party, and kind of the lack of vision in the party has been considered a factor in this. There is some suspicion that something really damaging is going to come out about Leo Varadkar, and he resigned to get ahead of it so the reputational damage won't be as bad. Something like what Matt Hancock did over in the UK. I want to get into each of those, but I think each of those are a factor, but I don't know, there's something a lot deeper than that, I think. So, first off, I'm going to rule out a factor that a lot of people are factoring into this, especially other TDs. Not just from Fine Gael, but from Fianna Fáil, the Greens, and some of the parties as well. And that is kind of harassment that TDs tend to suffer online. I don't think that's a factor, and the reason being, first off, all TDs get it. Because there's a lot of people that disagree with them. Now, do I like harassment online of political figures? No, I don't like it at all. It is part of the job. It's part of being in public life. So, you kind of just have to deal with it. Now, another factor that's been talked about, and I think this is a factor, but it's not as big a factor as people are portraying it to be, and that is the humiliating defeat of both referendums. The reason being that I don't think this is a major factor is that the way the government kind of just took it, they took that defeat and kind of went forward anyway. I don't think there's that much damage to the government in response to those referendums, as many people think. I think it's actually more damaging to Sinn Féin and the opposition parties that also agreed with the government on that. Because a lot of people will be going, hang on, you agreed with the government on these referendums, so you say that you represent change. I don't think that line really will follow anymore. And especially I don't think it'll follow for the next election. Now, was it a factor? Was the loss of the humiliating defeat in those referendums a factor? Yes. I mean, you can't lose those referendums that badly and not expect to get kind of cut out. To be honest though, like Leo Varadkar though, kind of just took it. Okay, we lost. Public have spoken, we lost. We couldn't convince them to say yes to these. Fair enough, move on. And I have to give him a little bit of credit for that. There were some in government that went like, oh, the public didn't understand what they were voting for. We knew what we were voting for. As it's past though, ye didn't understand in government what you were proposing. That's what made that referendum such a bad thing. So, I think it's rather interesting of people portraying the referendum results as being a major factor in this. I don't think they are. I think they are a factor, but I don't think they're a major factor. Now, there's a lot of people and I would say I'm included in that believe that there's going to be something very damaging going to come out soon about Leo Varadkar, and that he resigned so the reputational damage to both himself and the party isn't as, the damage won't be as big. Along the same lines as what Matt Hancock did in the UK, when basically he left his wife the night before the whole cheating affair thing came out, and he also, I think he resigned as well from the UK Parliament in response to that. God, that was one of the most ridiculous stories I can remember over the last few years politically, and there's been a few. So I think a lot of people believe that there's something similar going to happen with Leo Varadkar. Now, there was this whole thing of him being filmed in a nightclub kissing someone who he wasn't in a relationship with while he was in a relationship. A lot of people are going, well, that's his personal life. It's like, yeah, but you're the leader of the fucking country. Lead by example. Like, and these are complete idiots, really. So I'm not that surprised. Do I think something damaging is going to come out? I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to say something definitely will come out, because I don't know. So, whether that's a factor in this, I don't know. Although, my suspicions are really kind of popping up, and I will say the conspiracy theorist in me is, my ears are a bit perked up about that. Now, there have been calls from the opposition parties, mainly Sinn Féin, that there should be a new election, given the fact that Leo Varadkar has resigned as Taoiseach, and that it'll be the party, Fine Gael, that'll be electing their new leader and as a result a new Taoiseach, and that's undemocratic. That is how the system in Ireland works. It's the same way the system in the UK works. I'm not a big fan of that system, so I think it should be across the Dáil. Well, you see, this is the thing, Fine Gael are the biggest party in this. Right, so they have the seat of Taoiseach, and whoever is the leader of Fine Gael automatically becomes Taoiseach. Now, so I do understand the argument. Only thing I will say, Sinn Féin can't really say much on that, considering the fact how Mary Lou McDonald got the leadership, because she didn't actually get the leadership in a popular vote of the party. She succeeded from Gerry Adams, but it was a smaller group within the party that elected her, not the whole not the party as a whole. So this is what's interesting about this. Like, Sinn Féin are calling Fine Gael non-democratic, and yet they're not democratic at all. It's really, really interesting, but it's also not that surprising. But also, there's something else I will say about that. If it was the other way around, and Sinn Féin was in that position of Fine Gael, do you think they'd go for another general election to try and have a new Taoiseach voted in, or would they just vote in their new leader and have them automatically become Taoiseach? I think they wouldn't have a problem if that was their party in that position, but because it's someone they disagree with, it's undemocratic. Yeah, they don't really. Sinn Féin don't really boost confidence. At least, one thing I will say, they have a little bit more charisma than Fine Gael at the moment, especially Leo Varadkar. God, he was a plank, and there was no charisma in him at all. And you can kind of get away with that if you're a bit intelligent. Like, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this. I do think Micheál Martin is a bit intelligent. Also, like, Micheál Martin doesn't have that much charisma, but I think he has intelligence to kind of get around that a bit. Leo Varadkar doesn't have the intelligence nor the charisma for politics. And the only way he got elected as the leader of the Fine Gael party in the first place was that he was going to be Ireland's first openly gay Taoiseach. I mean, when I talk about progressive, like, I mean, we were doing the whole identity promotions before anyone else in the world, really. So to say that Ireland is a conservative country clearly hasn't been watching what's going on. So what's next for Fine Gael? I'm not entirely sure. Michael Ring has come out and said that Fine Gael needs to give up on legislation like the hate speech legislation, among others, and kind of just generally move away from left-wing politics altogether. I think that would be a good thing for Fine Gael to do. Whether they'll actually do that, I'm not sure. They are quite a progressive party. It's interesting, I'm not sure. They've been running kind of rudderless a bit over the last few years. And also kind of their leader, Leo Varadkar, not that charismatic a guy. And like he's a bit of an idiot, I think. Like, yeah, when you're talking about a leader, you need someone that you want to follow. That he wants to inspire people to follow. That description doesn't fit Leo Varadkar at all. It's the opposite of Leo Varadkar. He had no charisma in him. Like, you'd rather give him a slap than follow him. So that just really kind of shows you the lack of inspiration he instilled in people. And I think kind of definitely the last few years of the Fine Gael party where he was leader definitely shows that. So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. Do you agree something damaging is going to come out about Leo Varadkar in the coming weeks? Do you think that the Fine Gael party will actually cop on and actually move away from left-wing politics as Michael Ring has suggested? I'd love to hear what you think on this, and I think it's a conversation that kind of needs to be had. I think Fine Gael, they need to evolve to be successful in the future. Now, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and do not forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. I think Fine Gael is at a really important point where they need to evolve for the future of the party. Whether they do, I don't know.